Good evening. It is my pleasure on behalf of the Dean's Office to welcome you all to the 30th Shippey Lecture. This is the 30th year. And I'm very grateful. I just have to make a personal shout out to the Shippey family, Stuart and Melda, who are the son and daughter of Frederick Shippey. They faithfully attend every year, despite the fact that they just told me that their summer jobs were always through charting his statistics. So but we're so glad that you're here. I want to just offer you a description of how this lectureship was formed and what its intention is before I introduce Dr. Tracy West, who will introduce our lecturer tonight. The Frederick A. Shippey Lectureship was established in 1988 by Reverend Robert Duncan, Sr., through many donations from family, former students, friends, and the family of Dr. Shippey, all affiliated with Drew Theological School. The goal of this ongoing lectureship is the education of Drew Theological Seminary students in the sociology of religion. Dr. Shippey was professor of sociology of religion at Drew Theological School from 1953 to 1975, and also served as the acting dean for 2 years. He's the author of several books, and they're still available if you would like them, and we will put them on a website so you can get to those quickly. But we have been in the religion and society area very particular in choosing people who bring unique and really expanding perspectives of sociology of religion to our students and our community here at Drew. And I am very pleased now to introduce Dr. Tracy West, the James W. Pearsall Professor of Christian Ethics and African American Studies, to introduce our speaker of the evening.
So it is my privilege to have this opportunity. I would like to say that there are several faculty members who wanted the opportunity to introduce Dr. Adogame, but I sort of, got myself in here and said, no, I'm going to have this honor. So I would just like to say it is such a privilege for us to have this year's 2018 Frederick A. Shippey Lecture delivered by Dr. Afeosemime Adogame, the Maxwell M. Upson Professor of Christianity and Society. He's a leading scholar of the African diaspora. He holds a PhD in History of Religions from the University of Bayreuth in Germany, and has previously served as the Associate Professor of World Christianity and Religious Studies and Director of the International at the School of Divinity, New College at the University of Edinburgh in Scotland. His teaching and research interests tend to focus on interrogating new dynamics of religious experiences and expressions in Africa and the African diaspora, with a particular focus on African Christianities and new indigenous religious movements, the interconnectedness between religion, migration, globalization, politics, economy, media, and civil society. The books, there are several of his books that are mentioned, select publications, The African Christian Diaspora, New Currents and Emerging Trends in World Christianity, and he's edited The Public Face of African New Religious Movements in the Diaspora, Imagining the Religious Other, Africa and Scotland, Scotland and Africa, Historical Legacies and Contemporary Hybridities, and also Engaging the World, Christian Communities in Contemporary Global Societies. Now, that is the information you will find on his website. That does not even come close to encapsulating the scholarship and the contributions of this scholar. He is the editor, for example, of well over 15 books, most of them approximately 400 pages in length. He is also the author of several hundreds of articles and book chapters. Therefore, very few scholars have been more influential in shaping the conversations in the study of religion in Africa and the African diaspora. Very few scholars have enabled us more than Dr. Adogame to probe the vastness of religious beliefs, religious spiritualities, religious identities, religious traditions, religious movements of the peoples of African descent in very corners of the continents of Africa, of the Americas, and Europe, such as your Africa and Scotland, Scotland and Africa book, your recent book. With sharp insights, he's opened up our thinking on current transnational religious trends, such as reverse migration. In the African Christian diaspora, for example, he describes reverse migration. And he calls our attention to the declining number and missionary significance of Western, particularly from Europe and the United States, missions. And he describes non-Western missions as looming large in the revivification of Christianity in Europe. This trend helps us in the deconstruction and demystification of ecclesiastical paternalism that has characterized global Christianities, unquote. Other such brilliant and prolific scholars focus upon leaving their individual mark and on work that produces students who will reinscribe that individual mark. Not so with Dr. Adogame. He has been dedicated for decades to bringing scholars together in conference after conference, and more importantly, volume after volume, to expand and deepen and broaden the scope and complexity of the field that charts the mind, body, spirit becoming of African religiosity, particularly Christianity. You see, it's an understanding of fluidity and plurality that mark the sophisticated mapping and interrogation of Africana religious thought and practices in his work. It exhibits the artistry of intellectual decolonization and liberation from infantilizing paternalities about African humanity and spirituality. Tonight, Dr. Adogame will speak to us on the subject of mission from everywhere to everywhere, dialectics and dynamics of world Christianities in the 21st century. Please join me in welcoming and thanking you.
So, good evening. I really do appreciate this very generous introduction, and I'm getting very jittery now. I think I would like to, it's very important to appreciate the school, the dean, colleagues, the Shippey family for keeping the legacy on. Dear students, ladies and gentlemen, I feel very honored to be invited to share an aspect of my research. And of course, this is meant to be mainly in the field of sociology of religion. I was thinking within myself, this is being held in the theological school. So I must try to build a bridge between sociology of religion and world Christianity and theology. So permit me to go forward and backwards as we proceed. Now, very importantly, I thought also perhaps looking at the whole dialectics and dynamics of world Christianities in the 21st century, perhaps becomes one way of trying to understand new dynamics of religious expansion. And so, against this backdrop, I decided to think about Christianity and perhaps try to show some of the debates, some of the currents within what we now call world Christianity. By way of introduction, I wanted to start with this prelude here, that, let me see if I can use this. Okay. As a kind of prelude, contrary to popular imagination, I think it needs to be pointed out that Africa did not know Christianity for the first time through European missionaries, because this is often the popular understanding. In retrospect, Africa and Africans have been integral to the emergence and development of Christianity long before the introduction of European Christianity that was accompanied by the early Portuguese explorations, but also later the imperial and colonial experiments that accompanied that. So in a sense, one could argue that Africa is the heartland of early as well as contemporary Christianity. And we need to pay attention to the history of Christianity, especially looking at the older or the oldest forms of Christianity. As my colleague has argued, indeed, Africa contains some of the oldest forms of Christianity on earth. So, in trying to unpack African Christianities today, we are dealing with a phenomenon that is not totally new. In actual fact, the earliest known presence of Christianity in Africa is the late antiquity, from the 1st century onwards, when North Africa was visibly vocal in the development of Christian tradition. And another example we can actually put forward is Ethiopian Christianity, which again we cannot undermine. Having said that, I want to fast forward. I think you have to let me there. Yes. To a larger sense, the Protestant movement, which took root and spread in Europe, and then later North America for several centuries, transcended its Western cultural flavor and boundaries to a way in which it became a global movement. However, after several centuries of this experiment, there's a sense in which today it's popular to talk about the gradual shift in the center of gravity of Christianity from the northern to the southern hemisphere. And I think this argument has been largely popularized by Andrew Walls and Philip Jenkins and other scholars in a way that actually provides a new discourse about who actually owns Christianity. And Lamin Sanneh has also popularized this question in his book. One thing I would like to point out in trying to understand Christian cartographical maps is that we perhaps need to problematize these binaries of the north and the south, because we often talk about the shift in the center of gravity from the north to the south. And when I look at the map of the world, it's very confusing where is the north and where is the south. But in common usage, the north is often taken as North America or Europe, while the south is perhaps some other place like Africa, or perhaps also Asia or Latin America. And I think it's very important to revisit this kind of mapping that we have that leads to the question, where is the global east in the mission geographic compass? And I think it helps us to redraw, maps of Christianity, because there are parts of the world that are not captured in this north-south dynamic, and that can be problematic. And we can go back to the politics of this, boundary construction, which kind of divides the world into two, north and south. So I thought that would be very important. And therefore, it's against this backdrop that we might perhaps look now at how the traditional definition of mission has, to a large extent, collapsed on its head. The traditional definition of mission usually suggests a kind of a unidirectional movement from the north to the south. So mission work, mission enterprise is almost always thought as a movement that emerges from the north, from Europe, from the US to the rest of the world. And the contemporary situation shows that this is, of course, correct and still useful to talk in that regard, but it no longer represents the complexity of mission. And so in this way, it calls us to redefine mission. And what seems to come into focus very quickly is that we now begin to see that mission is no longer unidirectional, but multi-directional. And I think that helps us to understand mission from everywhere to everywhere. And I would like to show examples to demonstrate this. So, let's go to the next slide. Now, this is an old map of the world, a missionary map of the world, which says, "Go ye into the world and preach the gospel to every creature." And to demonstrate this north-south dynamic, it used to be from, North America and from Europe to every part, to all the other parts of the world. However, what we witness today is that mission goes from Europe to America, from America to Europe, from Europe to Africa, from Africa to Asia, from Asia to America, in a way that complexifies the very notion of mission. And so that makes this map a bit more complex if we need to redraw it from the missionary perspective. Next slide, please. Sorry, this is a bit blurry, but I thought this might be useful to see how even Christian denominations are redrawing these maps themselves. So I picked on the new United Methodist map and how they try to reconfigure the cosmos in terms of mission. And this is from the website, and you can see below that even the caption, "Mission from everywhere to everywhere," is not strange to the United Methodist mission. And so that has become one way of trying to understand what is really happening within the parameters of Christianity. Next slide. While underscoring this, I think it's important at the same time that while we talk about the shift in the center of gravity of Christianity from the north to the southern hemisphere, this is not in any way to suggest that Christianity is dead in the north. And that kind of understanding can carry a wrong impression in a way that we neglect the religious ferment in the global north. So it raises new questions about, on the one hand, there is the shift in the center of gravity from the northern to the southern hemisphere, but there's also a backlash in this movement. And so this calls us to perhaps begin to revisit the place and role and function of Christianity in the global north. in the face of secularization. And in the very first place, it's so easy now to take up the secularization thesis and say, well, these societies are secularizing, religion is witnessing its obituary. That is partly true, but that doesn't tell the whole story. Because what we are witnessing in the global north is not simply a decline of Christianity, it's not simply a decline of religion, but we are witnessing a transformation of religiosity. We are witnessing new kinds of religiosities, for instance, privatized religion, individualized religion. We are also witnessing virtual religiosity. So this is very important to think with, especially ways in which Western Christianities are responding to a secularizing age. Also, to complicate this picture, another way in which we can pay attention to the religious ferment in the global north is to take into cognizance the migration variable. And I think this is often undermined in trying to understand what happens. And I will come back to this point, how migration becomes a very important factor in the spread of Christianity, in the spread of any religion. And so looking back into the north, we can be asking the question, to what extent has migration into the US or into Europe transformed, diversified religion or religiosity or Christianity, so to speak? And I think this helps us, therefore, to begin to look at the impact of immigrant religiosities. And it raises a very crucial question, looking at statistics. If we go back, take a yellow page, and search for churches in Madison or churches in New Jersey, you will discover that much of the immigrant religiosities are not captured. You hardly will find them represented. But does that mean they don't exist? So to what extent can we tap on this kind of statistics of immigrant Christianities and other forms of religiosities and include them in our statistics of religious communities? So, in actual fact, the point I'm therefore making is that while we think that Christianity is disappearing in the North, yes, it is true, we witness decline of church membership. We also witness the museumization of church buildings. You know, church buildings are turning into bookshops and to pubs and so on. This is not to be denied. But there's something else that is happening that we need to capture. And I think one of several things that is happening that we need to pay attention to is the impact of immigrant religiosities. And Christianity, for instance, to a large extent, has contributed to the religious diversification of Christianity in the US and in Europe. Having said that, I want to move on and talk a little bit about statistics. I'm not a friend of statistics. Sometimes I'm very skeptical about statistics, but I use them. In 2017, it is recorded that by the World Christian Database that there are 56 million Protestants found in nearly all the world's 234 countries. This is remarkable. But looking at this figure, Africa is home to 40% of Protestants. And the World Christian Database projects that by 2040, half of all Protestants will live in Africa. And I think this raises a very crucial question. What does it mean for understanding the stature, the role and function of African Christianities within the global religious landscape. Next slide. Last year was the Reformation celebration, and the Center for Study of Global Christianity really captured this in statistics, and I just want to show you a few, although I don't fully believe in statistics. Next slide. So, this research shows that in 2017, as we mentioned, there are 560 million Protestants, and you can see, sorry, it's a bit blurry, but you can see very clearly that majority of that seems to come from Africa. Next slide. And then in the history of Protestantism, you can see again the statistics, and where the African curve, goes, the red one, just to indicate the proliferation of Christianity in this context. Next one. I'm sorry, this is very blurry, but what I wanted to show is that this research attempted to provide, statistics of countries with the largest population of Protestants and countries with the fastest growing Protestant population. And I think it simply speaks for itself. Next slide. All right, so it goes on and on depicting Protestants in the context of Christian traditions. Next slide. I'm really sorry about this here. But at least you can get an idea of such statistics. If you want, you can go back to the website where they have published these statistics. Next slide, please. It's important today that our understanding of Protestant churches has even become a bit more complicated, especially against the backdrop of Pentecostal charismatic influences. So the lines between Protestantism and Pentecostal charismatism is getting more and more blurry, because in almost all the Protestant traditions, you have a Pentecostal charismatic flavor. So the question would be, where do we put this? Are these part of the Protestant churches, or are they something else? And I think, again, this adds up to the statistics we are talking about. And particularly in Africa, we are witnessing huge proliferation of Pentecostal charismatic churches. In some have even argued that the numbers are almost, competing with the numbers of other churches. Next slide. All right, so I wanted to give this specific example of the United Methodist Church that claims a total population today of 12.5 million globally. What is very interesting for me with these statistics, for example, is the fact that it's projected that the 2020 General Conference in Minneapolis will have 862 delegates. What is fascinating to me is the fact that of these delegates, 55.9 will be from the US, 32% from Africa, 6% from the Philippines, and so on, and 4.6% from Europe and other places. Also interesting, just to underscore, thinking about the importance, of Christianity in Africa today, the fact that the largest single delegation would be with 50 people, and these 50 people will come from the North Katanga Conference in the DRC. And I think this is very important to think with. At the same time, the 2020 General Conference would include delegates from 5 new annual conferences that were created in 2016. And these are emanating from Kenya, Ethiopia, Uganda, South Sudan, Rwanda, Provisional, and Northeast Nigeria conferences, all in Africa, and then also from the Philippines. So, what this is partly suggesting is that even within the United Methodist, congregation, the African imprint is very significant. And I can give you several examples from other traditions. Time may not permit. Yes, go ahead. All right, so again, what these statistics show from the United Methodist Church website is that there's a decline in the membership, in the U.S. membership. And the U.S. membership dropped below 7 million in 2016 to about 6.95 million people, which marks a decrease of about 1.6% from 2015. And then you can see more and more the statistics. So, in a sense, we are witnessing decline in congregations in the United States, but we are at the same time witnessing an upsurge in membership of the same tradition elsewhere. And I think we need to put this at the back of our mind, especially in trying to underscore this whole shift in the center of gravity of Christianity from the northern hemisphere to the southern hemisphere. Next slide. Okay, I think I will skip this because of time. Now, sometimes the BBC is interested in statistics, but they can also be very, very ignorant. And I just wanted to show this example in trying to depict the Anglican Church membership worldwide. We can see Nigeria is 17.5 million Anglicans. And I think that is phenomenal. But quite interestingly, Nigeria is depicted by the BBC as different from West Africa. So West Africa has 1 million, members, while Nigeria has 17.5 million. So we say Nigeria is bigger than West Africa. But this statistics is still there, right on the BBC website. Anyway, that is a different story. But the point I'm trying to underscore here is that the Anglican Church communion worldwide may not make too much sense without the Anglican communions in Africa. And we can see today in the debates, all kinds of debates that are emerging, that they are making remarkable impact. And so, I've given these two examples, both of the United Methodist Church and also of the Anglican Church, to show how these demographic concerns play out in a natural sense. But of course, the question is, what does this mean for world Christianity or global Christianity? Next slide. I think one thing that has come out very clearly, sometimes in these statistics, which I don't believe in, is the politicization of census and Christian demography. And I'll give one example to explain that. Christians in Europe and America are often amazed to learn that the largest Christian continent is Africa. There are more Christians in Africa than in the United States, Canada, and Mexico combined. And I would suggest that this is true of Europe. But it raises a very important question about the politics of numbers as well. If you go to any website or any book today, you still find, huge numbers, particularly in Europe. And having lived in Europe 20 years, I keep asking myself, where are these Christians? Because on Sundays, most churches, well, not most, several churches have turned museums. So who makes up these millions of membership? And I think the politicization of statistics come into place here. But on another hand, it's interesting to understand again what I talked about at the beginning, that we need to pay attention to the fact that we are experiencing transformation of Christianity, not simply decline. And one way in which this can be explained is what the sociologist Grace David points our attention to. The phenomenon, particularly in Europe, maybe specifically in the UK, is that in which in many Christian churches we do have people who believe but don't belong. But we also do have people who belong and don't believe. All these come into statistics of Christians today. In many contexts, you find people, they sign forms as Christians, but they've never been to church. So, and if you interrogate them, they tell you, oh yes, my grandparents were Christians, so I'm Christian as well. Of course, in such a context, this is not rejected. These are accepted. But the whole definition of membership may be different in other contexts. And where I come from, you cannot say you are a Christian and you are not identifying with a specific church, congregation, or actually be a registered member, or attending services. In many churches, sometimes services are not only Sundays. Church services are also on Wednesdays and Fridays. So you cannot say that you are a Christian and you don't belong to one or two of these processes. So again, I think we need to factor that. We need to reinterrogate what is religious membership, what is church membership. Church membership, questions of identity vary from context to context. And we need to put that at the back of our mind in trying to understand the statistics. Next slide. Christians in Europe and America are even more surprised to learn that Africans are no longer merely on the receiving end of missionary work and church planting from the countries of the global south, but are also sending clergy and missionaries to Europe and North America. These clergy and the missionaries are not limited to the Christian traditions. You find that also happening within the template of Islam, but also within indigenous religions. And I think this helps us to teach